Hi, I'm Cheryl, and today we're going to be making a card that's a spin-off of this one, and it'll give you a little insight into how I make my cards sometimes. But I've used some watercolor effect paper that I've made, and it might be a good idea if you watched Creating Watercolor Effect Paper with dye-based reinkers, and I'll put a link for that video down below because that's needed for this particular card. You could use a plain color cardstock or designer papers instead, but I used the watercolor effect paper that I made in that video. So card we're making is not going to be exactly that one, and I'll explain why when we get to that point. We have some rhinestones. I've colored some in to match the card with a Fushia Sharpie marker. That works great for giving you different colored gems if you feel the need for them. We'll be using Tombow glue, our Memento black ink. I used a triple banner punch. If you're comfortable with cutting notches in the end of your banner without using this, then feel free to do that. While I have this here, I'm going to show you how to cut the banners for sizes that the banner punch isn't meant to cut. See, this does not fit in any of the grooves that they have here. So if you just slide your paper in and line your corners of your paper up with the edges of the punch, and give it a squeeze, you'll have a perfect little banner notch every time. So I've already done that on my banner pieces. I can put that aside now. And I use several different Stampin' Up products. From the Special Reasons bundle, I used several of these dies. I used the big flower, I used the smaller flower, and then I used also the two sizes of the leaves dies. Do not use these. These are if you want to cut your flower out completely, and the same for the leaves. If you want to cut your leaf out completely, use those. Those are just for the edges. But I just used these, and since I've already used those, I've done some prep work for this card. I can put them back in here, and this is a handy little tip to store your dies right with your stamp set that they go with. I have just some paper that I've glued down magnetic strips on, and I keep it right all together. So it's a nice neat package when I go looking for them. Okay, now from the Beautiful You stamp set, I'm going to be using the Celebrate stamp and Life Looks Beautiful on You. And also, from the Special Reasons, I used the little bitty Happy Birthday stamp. It's very tiny. Let me see. There we go. There it is. I used that. On my sample card, I used the Best Wishes stamp. And this is from Blooms and Wishes, this is a nice little set here too, of stamps. It's got the different watercolor flowers, and then it has a couple of nice sentiments, but then it has all these little branchy and leafy things that are nice to use when you're making a background. Okay, so I have my banner strips here. This is Wild Wasabi, and this is a 1/2 inch wide. Whisper White, and that's 7/8 of an inch wide. And then this is Rose Red, and is that Rose Red? No, it's Melon Mambo. And this is Melon Mambo, and that's 5/8 of an inch wide. I have a piece of Whisper White cardstock. This is our card base, and that's 5.5 by 8.5. Scored and folded at 4 1/4. I have a piece of Whisper White, and this is 4 3/4 by 3.5. And I've already die cut my flowers, and that's just a simple die cutting procedure. So I didn't feel the need to show you how to do this. You just put your dies on your paper where you want them and cut them out. And I have you probably noticed these. There's a whole assortment of leaves here that I've cut. I've cut those out of my my green watercolor paper that I made. And I have a piece of wild wasabi, and this is 5 by 3 3/4. I'll be using that, and then this piece also to do the matting on the card. This is 5.5 by 4 1/4, and this is Melon Mambo also. And then I have a piece of the red cardstock, or it's not red, it's like a rose color with some orange mixed in here, and I'll be using this. So now we get to the reason that my card I'm making today is not exactly like my sample card. The reason is, after cutting this out, I found that I didn't have a piece quite big enough. So I went with the shape of paper that I had, and that's how I decided to position these pieces. Now, I'm not going to use all of this. Let's see, I'll line that up so I get the most use out of my watercolor paper. And just move that over just a little. I'm going to trim off what I'm not going to be using. And maybe I can use this for another project. Okay, and I'll do the same up here. And there we go. So I have two little pieces here now that I might be able to use for something else. I could punch a little flower out of that, or some butterflies, who knows. But I'll have a little bit left. And now if you look on the back here, I need to trim that down a little bit more. Okay. If you look on the back here, you'll see that my piece of watercolor paper fits within this piece of Whisper White. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to adhere that down. We'll use our Tombow. Put some Tombow there around the flowers. And just put our piece of watercolor paper in place. Now if you wanted to, you could pop this up. That would look nice too. And then you'll have a little bit more depth to your card. But I'm just gonna go plain and use my Tombow. And now I'll decide where I want to position my leaves. See, that looks good there. Maybe one like that down here. One over here, and maybe one more. Let's see. And we should have an odd number of leaves. That always looks nice to have an odd number. of things. So maybe like that. I think that's what I'll go with. And we're going to use our Tombow. Okay, now I decided where everything's going to go. I'm going to take them all off. And I'll put my Tombow on the back of these. This little Tombow trick that I've learned over time. And just put a little Tombow on there. And let it dry. And when you let it dry, it almost makes your piece like a sticker, because it dries sticky like a, like a glue dot. And we'll just put some on the back of all of these. Oop, wants to stick to me. Let me get another one out here. I'm just using a little bit. And I'm not covering the entire back. The watercolor paper I used is 140-pound weight. And that's a pretty thick paper. If you hear funny noises in the background, I have my dog in the craft room with me today, and she was just sighing because Mom's not playing with her, my little fur baby. Now, come on, leaf. Now I've got that leaf stuck to me too. There we go. I thought I was going to be stuck on those things forever. Alright, so while we're waiting for those to dry, we'll start assembling the rest of the card. And I'll have my wild wasabi here. And I'll just put Tombow all on the back here. And any of these layers that you want to, you could pop them up with dimensionals if you want. I'm already getting crazy because I've got jewels to put on the front here too somewhere. I haven't decided yet where I want to put those. And we'll just glue this one down to the rose, or the Melon Mambo. Melon Mambo was, I believe, was one of the colors of the inks I used. But regardless, it goes well with the colors. And let's see. Let's do some stamping. I'm going to stamp the inside of my card before I attach everything. I've already got my stamps on a stamp block. I've tested them out to make sure they lined up, because I put the life is beautiful, or life looks beautiful on you, and the happy birthday. I put them both on one stamp pad. So it's just one stamp. And you can do that as long as both your stamps are the same type of stamp. You'd want photopolymer with photopolymer, and these clear mount, I think they're called. Yeah, clear amount. You want those together. And let me get my little Whisper White banner here. I'm going to stamp that with the word celebrate. There we go, that's inked. And let's see if I can do this straight on here. Looks pretty good. It's not exactly, but I think it's fine. Okay. And now, still waiting on those leaves to dry. So we're going to put our strips down here. Let's see, I'll put my green one. Oh, I have to remember I'm putting leaves here. Maybe I'll put my my Melon Mambo one down there then. Okay, and I'll put this one like this. And let's just see how this fits on there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay. So I'll just use some of my Tombow on there. Leaving space for my leaves. I'm going to have these all go right to the edge of the front here. And do I want it to go like this? Like that? And I think I'll put the green one underneath. But anyway, like I was saying, this is how my card evolved, because I didn't have enough of my rosy colored watercolor paper to do it exactly like the original. So, and there we go, we have that down. That happens to all of us at times. You have an idea and you say, oh darn, I only have this much of this paper. And you have to work around that. Okay, so we got that down. That looks very happy so far. And you know what? I think I'm going to grab my little tweezers here to position these leaves. And I'm going to have to go over my banner. Alright, that's okay. I think that looks nice, actually. And we'll put this one down here. And we have to find a place to put all my little jewels that I colored in. Here. Okay. Time to bedazzle the card. Bring this over. Get our rhinestones, and let's see. This one's already trying to get away. Oh. I think I'll put one here. Put one there for starters. And get under there. Get that up. Oh. Maybe one here. Oh, maybe one over here. We put one over here. And maybe a little one too. Why in the world I'm not using my pokey tool for this, I don't know. I'll put two of them there. Maybe two over here. And I have one more. Maybe right here. Okay, that looks good. I don't want to get too wild with these, with the gems. So, there's the card. Oh, well, there's the card front. We got to glue that down yet. I was all ready to wrap up the video and I didn't even glue this down. I would just line that up. Make sure that your card is opening the correct way. You just stand that up and line up the edges. And there we go. There's the new version. So there's what my idea started out. This is my second idea for my card. It's actually looks a lot busier than the first one. And here's another one I was playing around with, which is why I didn't have enough of this watercolor paper to do this card exactly the same again. But this one, I die cut the leaves out, backed it with the watercolor paper, and then I put this, I don't know, like the skeleton, glued that back down in place, added some sequins and a ribbon, and so same idea. There's 3 different takes on it, and I'll put all the information on how I made this card down below, and I'll put the link also for how to make the watercolor paper. So if you like this video, then be sure to hit the like button. If you'd like to subscribe and see more of my videos, then there's a subscribe button down below there too. Let's see. There we go. Down there. And y'all take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.